Hey guys, Sundan here. This is going to be my chapter review to Nanatsu no Taizai, or the 7 Deadly Sins 302. I think it's called Everyone's Waiting for You. Now, I don't think this is going to be a very long chapter review, just because a lot of my points have to do with exactly the same things that they did last chapter. So those would be all of the issues I had from last chapter. I kind of almost repeated in this chapter. I'll get back to that, but I don't think this chapter ended as badly as it looked like it did. I haven't seen like Griever's review or anything like that, but I'll make sure to check that out because I have a feeling he might have a similar issue. But I'll summarize this chapter quickly and then kind of go into what my issues are, which is why this review won't be so long. So essentially what happens in this chapter is Ban fights the Demon King in the physical world, and Meliodas fights the Demon King in the spiritual world, in the kind of I think that's all you can really call it, the spiritual world. And what they do this chapter is they kick the everlasting shit out of the Demon King. That's my issue number one. And they then, once they've kind of taken turns kicking the shit out of the Demon King, or they do it simultaneously, which is why Ban has so much success, Ban kind of stands over the Demon King, looks down at him and gets really cocky and stuff like that. The Demon King grabs him and then uses kind of like a kind of sword fist, I suppose, like sword palm. I'm not even sure what you really call it. He basically uses this kind of hand motion, and he jabs essentially the first two digits of his fingers right into Ban's midriff, right down to like linea alba, and Ban obviously coughs up blood and he's in a bit of a pinch. The 7 Deadly Sins are just looking at it like, what the hell's going on? Why is there this sudden reverse in domination over here? Though, like, the Demon Kings were getting his ass kicked, and the reason why is because Meliodas was depressed for a couple seconds, and then we have that friendship moment at the end where Garth is like, I have a fantastic idea straight from the books of Hiromashima, and I'm just like, no, don't do that. So let's go through what I had issues with. So I've got the chapter up here. Okay, so first thing to mention, King is indeed in his puny form, in his form prior his Elvis hair and his quiff, and the reason for that is because I assume he's used up all of his magic, all of his reserves of magic, and he's basically running dry, which is why he's in this form. So that's not a big issue. People were going, like, some people were going ape shit. I was like, okay, it's cool. It's not that big of a deal. So then my first issue, which was Meliodas and Ban absolutely demolishing the Demon King. Now we see this fight going on for a bit of the chapter. We see Meliodas easily dodging, he's not even sweating at this point, easily dodging the attacks of the Demon King. The Demon King is there trying to end this man's whole career, and Meliodas is just there sidestepping these attacks and shit like that, really making it look easy. Then you have Ban, who's dodging the Demon King in the physical world, all of his like nine tails, his iron spider attacks and stuff like that, and he's not even trying. Like, the dude's just, he's smiling while he's dodging these attacks, and I'm just like, this is shit. This is really shit for the Demon King, and it's what Nakaba has had an issue with the last few like big time villains, with Cusack, with Chandler, with the original demon. The original demon, the Demon King. They've completely messed up how powerful these guys should be, in my opinion, and for like the Demon King just gets absolutely wrecked. And the fact that Meliodas and Ban do it without even trying, this is the Demon King, bro. I mean, like, this is supposed to be the pinnacle of fights. Meliodas is, I think, more than anything, Meliodas should be at a power level, especially if he's in the spiritual world. I assume, after having watched Griever's last chapter review, I'm assuming Meliodas has his emotions with him. He's an intact being. He's just within his own body. So this is he's got his emotions back, but this is his spirit now fighting against his father, and he's able to. First, he repels the Demon King. He's got this darkness blade on his hand, which looks awesome, by the way. Really cool idea. But he's able to. He throws his father like way back, completely kind of repelling his attack, and Ban just kicks the shit out of the Demon King's head and absolutely wrecks him. And I just don't like the power scaling. I feel like Nakaba has had an issue with power scaling all this time, and Meliodas should be, I think, as powerful or close enough in power to the Demon King that he's able to put up at least a good fight. He shouldn't be winning, though. He should not be doing what he's doing to the Demon King right now, considering in Purgatory he wasn't able to do that. But then again, in Purgatory it was only his emotions were in Purgatory against the Demon King, so maybe there's that aspect of it as well. So with Meliodas, I think there's a bit of a maybe he could, maybe he couldn't, but I think Meliodas has the best argument for fighting against the Demon King 1v1 inside this kind of spiritual plane. But the fact that Ban is in the physical world absolutely wrecking the Demon King by his onesies, that's something I cannot accept. And I know that Meliodas is helping him out from the spiritual world and all that shit. No, Ban is kicking the shit out of the Demon King, and I can't accept that. Ban should not, it's simple, Ban should not be powerful enough to beat the crap out of the Demon King the way he's beating him. Anyway, the Demon King's all like, you've awakened your Demon Lord power, so you can't last longer than like a day in the mortal plane. And Meliodas is like, you know what, it's kind of shit, but I'm okay with this as long as I get to relieve Elizabeth of her curse and say my goodbyes to the 7 deadly sins. It's all good, which is cool. But so it seems like once you've awoken, you're kind of in a Demon Lord power. Essentially, I think it's once you reach a threshold of power as a demon or as a goddess, you cannot stay in the mortal plane for some reason or other, just so that you can't kill everything in one go. Essentially, it's just so that the power levels don't get messed up, even though they're completely messed up the way they are. Anyway, Meliodas attacks his father, and this was my second big issue with the chapter. His father then, like, after getting his horn cut off, and he's like, "Kuh." He's like, don't waste your time. I took care of Elizabeth a long time ago after I undid the curse on her. So essentially, at this point, what he's telling Meliodas is, I don't understand why you're trying so hard to get back to the real world, considering I've killed Elizabeth after I undid the curse on her. So what he's telling Meliodas is, I filled her with hope, then I filled her with death. And when you fill someone with death, they're usually dead by the end of it. So Meliodas here, you can see in his face he's shocked, and because of this shock, Ban starts to get beat down. So Ban gets headbutted, but then he proceeds to slam down the Demon King, and the move he uses to slam down the Demon King here, he grabs him by the head and slams him into the ground. Once again, I'm like, this dude Ban is incredibly powerful, but he should not be doing this to the Demon King. He slams his head down, and he sends essentially an earthquake rippling through Britannia. You can see these cracks just demolishing the ground, cracks permeating through the ground and separating the land, and you see this explosion all the way in the distance, where I assume they must have met and just converged and exploded. But Ban is insanely powerful. That was cool, but the fact that he's able to do this to the Demon King is bullshit. I'm calling it here. I'm saying it now. Y'all can argue all you want. It's bullshit. Big bullshit. Like fat bullshit. Now, this is where Ban gets all cocky and stuff, and he stands over the Demon King like he owns the place. Now, Meliodas here, after being surprised by the Demon King's words where he says, I've killed Elizabeth, there's no point in you trying. Now, this is what I hated about this chapter, and I don't understand the Kaba. Does he understand his characters? Does he not understand his characters? Does he understand what power scaling is? Does he not? He's really inconsistent, and that's what's been grating on my nerves for a long while now. So Meliodas here gets absolutely wrecked by the Demon King. The Demon King slashes him into, he doesn't slash him into hundreds of pieces, he just slices away at him with his sword. Now, another issue I have, this is the Demon King attacking Meliodas, and Meliodas literally comes away with a few loads of scrapes and bruises and stuff like that, but he's not bleeding, he's not been dismembered, literally he's not even bleeding, bro. I'm just like, really? The Demon King gets free shots at Meliodas. What does he do? He gives him a couple of scratches here and there, a little bruising here and there, but he doesn't even take off an arm. I say, bro, Zeldris took off an arm from Meliodas. Ugh, let's be real, bro. So I didn't like that. Anyway, with Meliodas now being damaged and hurt in the spiritual world, this gives the physical Demon King an opportunity to kick the shit out of Ban, and this is where Ban gets impaled, very slightly impaled. This is not that dangerous, but it is enough for Ban to be like, shit, this isn't what I expected. Anyway, the 7 deadly sins are all confused, and Elizabeth's like, yo, what the hell are you doing, Meliodas? Can't you hear me and shit like that? So the Demon King's like, oh, you can yell all you want. Meliodas is not going to hear you. Giving Galtha, you could see, I knew what was going to happen as soon as I see Galtha's face. Once the Demon King says, yell all you want, Meliodas you'll never reach Meliodas. I saw Galtha's face and I was like, oh, please God, do not do this, Nakaba. And then we have Garth like, everyone, I have a great idea. And I was like, please do not do this. So we have, and the issue I have here with Meliodas, I keep skipping past it because I haven't written it down. But the issue I have with Meliodas listening to his father's words about him having killed, or the fact that even the words affected Meliodas in the sense that his father said, I've killed Elizabeth. So Meliodas goes full depressive and he's like, I've lost my will to live and shit like that. But I'm like, dude, Meliodas knows better than to trust anything that comes out of his father's mouth. Anything that the Demon King says. His words, his actions have only ever been to create or to push Meliodas in the direction of becoming the Demon King, and possibly just to inhabit his body or some shit like that. His father is poisonous, manipulative, controlling. He's AIDS. His father is literally AIDS, and Meliodas chooses to believe his father in the sense that his father's like, oh yeah, I've killed Elizabeth, and Meliodas is like, oh my god, you must be telling the truth. And I'm just like, no! Stop being a jackass. You know he's not telling the truth. Why would you listen to him? If this was the Meliodas that we've known over the last few years, we've come to love, he would legit have said, I think you're chatting shit. I'm calling you out on it. I'm gonna kick your ass. But Meliodas, he listens to his father. He's like, oh no, you've definitely killed him. Killed her. Only so that we could get this scene at the end where his father's like, with the Demon King's like, there's nobody waiting for you anymore. And then we have Elizabeth in this ethereal plane, or in like some sort of ethereal form, holding onto Meliodas' arm, and she's like, nah, we're all still here. And we have all the sins apart from Ban there. Yeah, we have literally all the sins. We have Merlin, Escanor, King, Garth, Diane. The only one missing is Ban. And I'm not sure how I feel about this. I'll say why I don't like it. It's just really cheesy. It's really cringy. It's really fairy tale like I said at the beginning of this review. Nakaba called up Hiro Mashima and he's like, bruh, I'm gonna give you the biggest call out you've ever had in any manga ever. I'm dedicating this chapter to you. And we have Escanor there. He's crying, or he's at least very, very teary. You have Elizabeth there crying, King's crying, Diane's crying. I'm like, this is some gay shit. Like, this is pretty cheesy. This is as cheesy as you can get. I like Merlin's kind of her confidence. She's just there, steely gaze at Meliodas. She seems happy. But what I don't like about this is it's borderline Nakama power. It's borderline friendship kind of thing. And the one kind of silver lining here is that Meliodas, I'm hoping he doesn't just get some stupid power up just because he's seen his friends, just because he's seen Elizabeth is alive. What I'm assuming is that the ass kicking will resume. The ass kicking, which, like I've mentioned, is bullshit. He shouldn't be kicking the shit out of the Demon King that badly. This should be, at least for Meliodas and the Demon King itself. I think the Demon King should be more powerful, but Meliodas should be kind of clipping away and just basically biting at his ankles, getting closer and closer to actually hurting him and stuff like that. But the thing that doesn't make this scene as bad as it looks is that I'm hoping that this doesn't become fairy tale like, oh, my friends are trusting me, full Dragon Slayer or some shit like that. I'm hoping nothing like that happens. What I'm hoping is that Meliodas kind of he sees that his friends are alive, he sees that Elizabeth is alive, they disappear, and he kind of steals his resolve once again, and he's like, all right, I'm focused now. I'm gonna kick the shit out of you, and then proceeds to kick the shit out of the Demon King, which I don't like anyway. But that's what I'm assuming is gonna happen. If Meliodas goes ahead and gets some dirty power up because his friends of Nakama did their way back into his life or some shit, that's going to be really, really shit. And I don't like this development as it is. I feel like Meliodas should be intelligent enough, strong enough to hold his own against the Demon King anyway. At least like up to a certain extent, like I've explained before. But I don't feel like this scene didn't need to happen. They didn't need to come into this world to say to Meliodas, we're here for you, let us slap him on the ass and get him on the field or some shit like that. Nah, they didn't need that. What Meliodas should have done and what should have happened is Meliodas is told that Elizabeth has been killed. Meliodas looks his father in the eye and says, I smell bullshit. And then doesn't listen to his dad. Kicks the shit out of him because that's what he's been doing anyway. I don't like that, but he's been doing it anyway. Kicks the shit out of his dad. Ban kicks the shit out of his dad. get rid of him, I don't know, defecate him out of his body or something like that. And then Meliodas assumes control of his body and proceeds to remove the curse from Elizabeth and all that good shit. And then he goes away after a night or something. He spends the night with Elizabeth, does whatever he needs to do, and then he can't live in the mortal plane anymore. Says goodbye and goes away. All that good shit. But I don't know. I just don't like this manga has been very good at being kind of very real and not really being that cringy, but this is a really, just look at it, it's so cringy. This isn't what Taizai is. This isn't what I've read Taizai for. This is a very, very fairy tale-ish moment, and people will call me out and saying that the friendship thing hasn't happened yet. This is kind of like he hasn't exploded with power because of friendship like fairy tale, and you're right, he hasn't yet. But the fact that this is what was required for Meliodas, the Meliodas, to kick the shit out of his dad, who he's had thousands of years of beef with. This is not what was needed. Elizabeth was not what was needed, even though that's what he was fighting for. Meliodas should be kicking or trying to kick the shit out of his dad for the indecencies and for the crimes he's committed against himself, the oppression he's kind of, how he's oppressed Meliodas and his younger brother and stuff like that, and how he's basically being groomed to be another body for the Demon King. So that's all I'm going to say for now, because I feel like this has been, how long? 16 minutes. This is supposed to be a short review. I think I've repeated a few things a few hundred times. But yeah, I feel like this chapter didn't end so well. I didn't like the fact that they were kicking the shit out of the Demon King. And I feel like Meliodas should be a lot more intelligent than how he's being led on. I feel like Bond should be weaker than he actually is. And just cringe way to end it. So I'm going to give this a solid probably 5-6 out of 10. The actual content, the content was kind of bad in the sense of the Demon King was getting his ass kicked. So yeah, I just didn't like this chapter. Let me know what you guys thought of this review. Let me know what you guys thought of this chapter. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I will see you guys hopefully either later today or tomorrow with One Piece, and then some other time for My Hero Academia. So I'll see you guys in a bit.